Today on Q&A Mondays, we talk about the Energy Star metal roofing program and what has changed. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Metal Roofing Channel and welcome to Q&A Mondays. We've got Jeff Hawk, Adam Mazzella here on the channel. Thank you so much for being here today, guys. Really appreciate it. Today we're talking about Energy Star. There's some news come out in the recent weeks and months about the Energy Star metal roofing program, and we're going to share what we know with you today. And these are just the facts that we know. We're not passing judgments, offering opinions on the program, but we're just giving you what the facts are and what we know. So let's jump into it, guys. Any questions we talk about today, as always, in the description, you can jump ahead with the quick links listed out. First of all, can you guys tell me a little bit about Energy Star? What's the purpose of Energy Star and a little bit of the background?
Sure. Energy Star was really put in place, at least from the metal roofing perspective or the roofing perspective. I can't even say it was intended for metal roofing specifically, but it was really to drive cool roofs into the market and drive innovation along the roofing manufacturers to develop products that were going to be more energy efficient. As it affected our space, the metal roofing space, it was adopted about 20 years ago, I think 1999. Mm-hmm. Prior to 1999, roofing pigments weren't quote unquote considered cool. There may have been some just naturally or inherently, lighter colors, generally thought of as having a cooler or higher reflectivity because it's not as absorbing as much heat as a darker color. But beyond that, a lot of the paint manufacturers, specifically, I know Sherwin-Williams story, they developed a lot and drove a lot of innovation in terms of the cool roofing pigments for architectural metals, metal roofing, things like that. And really took things to the next level. So if you're looking at a brown roof that's a non-cool pigment and a brown roof that's a cool pigmentation, you might not notice a difference in the color, but because of that technology, there would be potential massive energy savings. So that is kind of what Energy Star was looking to develop. It really drove innovation through at least our world. And the purpose was to decrease the energy demands. A sixth of all energy consumed in the United States is based off of energy consumption for air conditioning or heating or cooling building needs. Yep. And the idea was to lessen that burden, and hence offset that with cool roofing, with all roofing products.
Right. And if you want to learn more about cool roofing, we just released the cool roofing episode of the Standing Seam Metal Roof Design Series last week, so go check that out for sure. Jeff, let me ask you, what did the Energy Star metal roofing program look like as a whole for metal roofing specifically?
So a lot of it's what Adam just covered. Basically, for metal roofing, it was designing these paints with the cool pigments and to be able to have the different solar reflective values. And then they had requirements based on the slope of your roof, whether or not an Energy Star product was rated. Basically, from a 212 and below, it had a certain SRI value it had to meet. And then for anything above a 212, it had a certain SRI value it had to meet. And that's really set the standard as far as what was going to be qualified for an Energy Star rated product. As you mentioned in the video, we talk about the SRI values, how different colors have different SRI values. So it set the standard basically based on your roof design and slope of what was going to be considered, a rated product for your individual project.
Okay. So we've covered purpose of Energy Star, we've covered the metal roofing program. What has changed in the recent weeks and months? What's changing with the Energy Star metal roofing program?
So over the last couple of years, the federal government, specifically the EPA, has been exploring what to do with this program, where to go with it, and ultimately they've decided to sunset the program, which means it's not a quick, abrupt end, but over the next 2, 3, 4 years, they're going to be phasing it out. What it means to manufacturers, you're not going to be able to go and get your roofing products validated by a third-party source for Energy Star. However, if you have it, you still have it. You can slowly phase through there. You'll start to see Energy Star disappear over the next 2-3 years on a lot of marketing pieces. Certainly the tax credits, which was a big piece for the residential space. It wasn't really a deal maker if you're going to go and get a metal roof, but it was just another, nice perk of, hey, I put a cool roof on, I can get this tax credit potentially. So that's all going to be just slowly fading away. I don't think it's anything abrupt. I don't think it's going to, shift the industry in any massive way, but it's just something that people need to be aware of.
Okay. So the program is being sunsetted. Why are those steps being taken? What's kind of the reasoning behind that?
As the program evolved, I think we were on the third iteration of Energy Star, so V3. I think, there's kind of pros and cons of both sides. One of the things that was, I wouldn't say sweeping, but Energy Star, as Jeff alluded to, fell into two buckets: low slope roofing and steep slope roofing. And I think that, as a lot of this technology advanced, both in all roofing products, I think a lot of the industry kind of looked at it and said, hey, the technology is here. It's not going to, get all that much better. But you still have these kind of sweeping, directives that dictate whether something qualifies or not, whether you're low slope or steep slope. And I think what really happened was the markets developed. The commercial markets certainly take codes and standards and adopt them, as soon as they're required to. And it impacted the commercial space a lot faster. I think looking at the residential space or the steep slope space, it takes time, and it's adapted and it's helped. But I think the view is that Energy Star is good, particularly in warm weather climates for steep slope. But I think the view was kind of, hey, there's more impactful things than just the pigmentation on your metal roof. And I think the focus really turned towards energy loss, i.e. insulation, sealing, building envelopes, things like that, versus strictly, put a metal roof on with put a cool metal roof on and all problems are solved. Now you still have insulation issues, building leakage issues, things like that are contributing to energy loss or energy waste.
On the commercial side of things, especially, the building codes have changed. Their requirements are usually stricter than what Energy Star requires. Designers and specifiers have gotten a lot more educated on the topic. So I think just the industry as a whole has kind of surpassed the minimum requirements of Energy Star. So basically, I think they basically felt that they didn't need to warrant the program anymore, just because the industry kind of took the ball and ran with it and exceeded the standards that they had set in place to begin with.
So I think that's a good place to take this conversation. What are some of the pros and cons of sunsetting the program here for all involved parties?
Sure. Where the market has kind of naturally taken it, where Jeff alluded to a lot of the commercial building codes in place have really surpassed Energy Star. Building and building design, building development has really evolved in the last 20, 25 years to where it's not just, I need a cool roof. It's also taking into account where you're located, what sort of heating and cooling loads you need based off of geography, sealing buildings, insulating buildings. So it's not just throw a highly reflective coating on it or a metal roof on it. It takes into account a lot more. I would say it'll help the commercial space because you have other programs out there that will continue to drive building efficiency, other programs out there that take into account the other products and other factors in green building design. So I think that's a big pro from the commercial side. That's going to continue to develop. I think one of the cons in our mind, and whether it is or it isn't, is when you're buying an Energy Star product from a consumer standpoint. So if you have a non-commercial building, you're a residential person, or you own a light commercial building that might not have the specific building codes or standards that your higher end commercial may have. I think the concern we have is, okay, what is the standard? So what's going to drive that? I think homeowners, see and recognize that Energy Star brand. Mm-hmm. If somebody's buying a metal roof, they're not so much worried about the price tag to get that $500 rebate. That's not the kicker. But they do see Energy Star. They do think, that they're doing the right thing and contributing. So from a branding and a marketing perspective, it would be nice if there was something to carry forward to continue to educate the residential side of the world, saying, hey, this is a better product than, baseline or, than a product that's not reflective.
Yeah, there's some kind of standardization that, they have that ability to know that they have standards to trust.
Yeah, and that's, I'm not going to say exclusively, but it's more specific for the residential or steep slope market, that what is going to be the recognition that you are using the best product for your specific geographic location.
Right.
So,
No, I think all great points. I think the only thing I'd add to that is, even though Energy Star is not going to be rating metal roofs anymore, it doesn't mean that cool metal roofing is going away. Just because, like I said, just because Energy Star isn't going to be testing it doesn't mean that, the pigments are going to be changing or technology is going to be going backwards as far as, the industry moving forward.
So in my mind, it kind of seems like this speaks to the growth of the industry. If all the standards of Energy Star are being readily met so much that the program is being sunsetted, how much does that show the industry has grown over the years?
Yeah, I mean, again, as I said earlier, it really shows that the industry, took the ball and ran with it. They exceeded the standards. They got behind the concept and the reasoning that Energy Star put the program in place to begin with. And they took it to the next level. And, over the 20 years that the program has been in place, not only again with the adoption of the building codes and things like that, but all the education that manufacturers have gotten, designers have gotten, about SRIs, different slopes, different pigments for the paint companies. There's just been a growth of knowledge when it comes to the cool metal roofing in general.
Yeah, and kind of more of a focus on system design. That's really been kind of the tale for the last probably 8 to 10 years from what I've seen, is it's not just a cool roof, but what's going on under the roof, what's going on with the more efficient other systems, be it HVAC or insulation or sealing the system, things like that. So we're seeing a lot of these things develop and kind of coming together, via, Living Building Challenge, people trying to achieve net zero on their buildings, things like that. So it's not that one's dying or going away, Jeff alluded to, but it's really building products working in harmony with each other. Right. And I think that will help as long as code continues to develop, where these things are working with each other versus saying, no, this over the other or that over this. So
I've been in the technical department for, over 13 years now, and you really see how the thought process has changed over that time from the beginning when it was, cool metal roofing, and that's what everybody focused on, to now it's more of a building as a whole and the whole design of the project from start to finish. And that's one of the benefits of working with Sheffield is that, we do look at the project as a whole. It's not just a roof. We look at, what products are going into it, the assemblies components and things like that. That's going to make the building energy efficient and not just the roof. Just because Energy Star program is sunsetting now, it doesn't mean that there aren't other programs that are going to grow or that are going to be in the future. And, especially maybe in certain geographic locations where you have, extreme climates. So we'll have to see what the future brings as far as what's coming next.
Yeah, well, you're exactly right, Jeff, and I really appreciate you taking the time with us, Jeff and Adam. If you have any questions about this, please comment down below. We'd love to answer them. And check out the Standing Seam Metal Roof Design Series. We're right in the middle of that right now, and we'll answer a lot of questions about cool roofing and some other things like that. Subscribe to the Metal Roofing channel, stay up to date. Check us out at Sheffield Metals online. We'll catch you next time.